Welcome to the CHCH Newsmakers podcast. I'm your host, Rick Zamperin. If it's making news in Hamilton, Halton, and Niagara, across Canada or around the world, rest assured I'll tackle it here on Newsmakers. Now, back in the spring, when U.S. President Donald Trump first announced wide-ranging tariffs on Canadian imports and those from countries around the world, many of us could only guess at how damaging they would be. Fact of the matter is, businesses, big and small, are feeling the pain, including our guest today. Joe Camillo is the longtime owner of Niko Apparel in Hamilton and Regatta Sport in St. Catharines, and joins us on Newsmakers. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning, Rick. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's start with that big issue, is the impact of tariffs. How are your businesses being impacted?
Well, it's an understatement to say that that are not affected, because they are significantly affected by just the navigation and understanding of what happens on any given day, on any given mood by the administration down south. So what we're trying to deal with is just the regular dealings of trying to make a living and trying to make product and sell product, selling it abroad, and also navigating the fact that we have to figure out how these tariffs, if in fact they qualify for free trade, if they don't, do you group? It's a daily struggle. So if you are export based, which thank God we are, we're very lucky to do a lot of our business outside of our country, it does have an effect on us.
Is the uncertainty a big factor in this, not knowing, when the next shoe is going to drop?
Well, we can see, what happened the last several weeks, with the commercial and then the effect of this commercial that was put out, and just we don't know what's happening. Now, primarily it's dealing with big business. We are a small business. We employ about 35 in Hamilton, another 12 in St. Catharines, and we have a small office in Buffalo. But whatever reverberates up top, it definitely gets shuffled down below, and it's really created more uncertainty, not just for us, but also for our suppliers and, of course, our customers.
Let's get a little history lesson on Niko Apparel and Regatta Sport. When did you start these two companies?
So the first one, I actually born and raised in Hamilton. I went to school locally at St. Mary's. I then went to Guelph. I did my undergrad in economics at Guelph. I got involved with the sport of rowing at the Great Club of Hamilton Leander. I was a member of the rowing club. It was actually after a motorcycle accident that forced me into that. I was sort of debilitated. It was a hit and run, and I sort of figured out the sport. I was lucky enough to go and progress, learn the sport, go through school. Love to create things. I then was lucky enough, I made the national team. I then completed my MBA. Somehow I did that, barely. I barely did that. And then with another partner, with my partner Regatta Sport, Chris Cookson, who's a world champion. I rode on the national team. He's a world champion, Tim. We formed Regatta Sport in 1988, and we decided to develop our own product line, which then brought me into years after developing this other business, which is Niko. But before that, I was a teacher at Mohawk College. Okay. I taught in the small business program. It was very exciting. Then my wife and I, we got married, and then we lost our jobs due to the budget cuts. And I bought this company, which was not yet named after my daughter. I have 4 kids: Nicole, Michael, Matthew, and Anthony. Anthony is the middle boy. And we started Niko Apparel. So Regatta Sport sells a lot of the clothing. We go to events. We were at the Canada Games in St. John's. We've done 3 consecutive Canada Games. All the merchandising. We were in Germany and Italy. We do partnering. We sell all over the world, and we sell product that's made right here in Hamilton. So one is sort of the manufacturing. The other one is sort of the merchandising arm, though Niko does a lot of its own manufacturing and merchandising as well. For its own customers. Not
to make you relive the hit and run, but this is fascinating. So you're involved in a hit and run. You go to rowing. What was the connection?
So I was hit. I was hit in May 4th, 1980. It was after a night of crazy partying. I remember that. Some friends of mine way back, and I was going to do an assignment. It was due on the Monday. It was on a Sunday. I was going to the assignment, and a gentleman, actually, I found out later, it was revealed to me that it was a hit and run. It was a guy from Ohio. He hit me on the corner of Lock and Main. Oh, wow. And I don't want to break a big deal, but I was going to lose my foot. Somehow it saved, and they saved it, they plated it. And I didn't walk in here with a walker. I walked in on my own power. I want people to know that. I walked on my own power.
Yeah.
But through that and through friends, I took time. I really had no idea. I was sort of gone figuring things out. So then I got involved in grade 13. Some friends introduced me to the sport of rowing, which I didn't have to run, didn't involve impact.
Right.
And I got pretty good at it. So it really, it taught me discipline. It taught me teamwork. It taught me the love of the water, which I love, and built a business around that.
That is so cool. So these two companies that you started many moons ago, obviously clearly being impacted by what's happening down south. What have been the ups and downs over the last number of weeks in terms of dealing with tariffs and what the U.S. is trying to do?
Well, you know what? First off, I love the United States of America. We're grateful for, like, they are our biggest trading partner, not just on a macro sense, but on our business end as well. It is just the fact that before, I think it was August 31st, the de minimis Act was removed, where you could then ship products under $800 tariff-free. That was a huge barrier put up by the fact that now, before, you used to ship goods, if you're doing a lot of mail order, which a lot of businesses in Canada do, they ship down south, you never had to worry as long as it was under that $800 rule. Now every product needs to be identified. So now, not just the fact that you have to deal with what is qualifying and what the percentages are, it's all the paperwork and the worry. So then, in business, you're dealing with trying to get the business, but then you have to navigate with how to deal with all the paperwork. So now you're dealing with brokers, and you're dealing with delays, and you're dealing with concerns from customers. So it just complicates things. So you have the tariffs, you have the paperwork, you have the uncertainty, and then you don't know, again, I take nothing away from the Prime Minister, what he's doing. I applaud him and also Premier Ford. They understand the importance. Like, our economy is built on export, but some of this uncertainty, it really gets rippled down to us, and it makes things really difficult. So, we know certain companies are just saying, you know what, I'm not going to ship to the U.S. It's just far too difficult. So then you take away that whole revenue arm because it's just too difficult.
Yeah. When you talk about paperwork, is there a centralized space for this to happen, or are you kind of all over the place with that?
Well, you're dealing with brokers. So when you're shipping product to anywhere, I mean, especially the United States, you deal with codes. It's harmonized codes. Okay. So you need someone to clear the goods, and the typical shippers, the main shippers like UPS and FedEx would do that for you. But you need to know what those codes represent. You need to know the certificate of origin, what is made of that product. So where before you never had to worry about that. Right. Now you definitely have to, figure that out. So I actually brought some products.
Props.
So I brought some props. I want to bring this one because this one here.
So what is this?
This is an older picture. This is my son, Matthew. He's 22. Okay. He's on the Queens football team, everybody.
Oh, nice.
He is playing in the Mitchell Ball this weekend.
They just won the
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, Huskies. You got to go down. But this is my boy. He's young here. He's 22 now. Yeah. This is a neck guard that we sell called Aegis Impact. And this is some of the line that we sell in Canadian Tire and Hockey Life in stores all over the country and all over Canada, all over the world. And this is shipped to the States. This product would be sold. We get mail orders. Under de minimis, it would have been zero tariff. Right now, this product, it's made in Vietnam, developed in Canada, it's 20%. So every time that goes down, we're being levied that 20%. And in this case, we're not passing it down to our customers. We decided to absorb that. So that's right out of our margin. So this is one.
Okay.
Here's another product. This is made in China. This is a hat. This is an official mark. Regatta Sport, we sell this one. This is World Rowing. It's FISA. It's the International Rowing Federation. And we're very lucky. We have a great association with FISA and with World Rowing, And this product here is made in China. So again, it's a separate code. You got to fill the code out. If it goes down there, you're looking at, even we don't know because it depends on the composition of the product. It could be 25 to 35% on top.
Wow.
So there was zero. Now you're at 35.
Wow. And you're absorbing that cost as well.
We are. We're dealing with that right now. We're doing that because some of our customers, they're not like in the States. I'm not saying they're oblivious, but they just don't see the impact that we would see, though. President Trump knows the impact because he's really pushing the whole benefit of the tariffs. And here's a product that we're very proud. This is for the U.S. National Dragon Boat Team. This is made right here in Hamilton. This is from Italian fabric, made here, and we've sold hundreds and hundreds. We do the national team. We do the national dragon boat team for the United States of America, made in Hamilton.
That is
it's very cool. Wow. And we were in Germany at the World Dragon Boat Championships, and it was so cool. We've done Australia and Germany. We've done Canada. So this product falls under CUSMA. So it's under the free trade agreement because components, even though they're brought in from outside of Canada, they qualify as free trade. Mm-hmm. So again, if you're combining free trade compliant products along with tariff compliant products, because usually with a team you're ordering products that aren't made in Canada, right, it creates a nightmare. So people say just forget it. Like it's crazy.
So is there a certain percentage of that outfit that must be CUSMA compliant?
Correct. You know what? So there is, people would know there's TPL, it's tariff preference levels. You'd ascertain if the value added is greater than 50%, you can deem it, and CBP can't, border control, border protection could, U.S. Customs could question that, but if it's made here, you could derive and justify that the value is Canada. As long as it's over 50%,
right,
50.01, you qualify. So it's really up to us. So, the fabric, this actually comes from Italy. It's an SPF 30 rated material, blocks the sun, but we make it, and that's the value added. But then, again, it depends. If you don't know what you're doing and you use the wrong codes, then you get called up, then you're flagged, then you bring in lawyers to help figure it out, and it costs you tens of thousands of dollars if you're flagged, if you're black marked. And some people are saying, I'm just not into doing that.
So for this particular item, would you, in the paperwork, have to designate, this is 51% or whatever the percentage is, CUSMA compliant, so it should be okay? Correct.
You'd have to identify the product. So the materials, it's made in Italy, and you'd have to identify the material. So again, before, if you're sending a lot of these products under $800 and we were shipping to individual teams, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with just this mound of work, and if you do it wrong, it gets called back. We've had shipments held for weeks, and the customers down the state say, "Look, where's our stuff?"
Yeah.
And there's just so many issues that complicate the matter, especially the fact that we're paying more to get our product over there, and we're deciding that we're going to absorb it at this point to not pass it on.
We've had a number of economic challenges in this country, everything from recessions to, the housing market being what it is, and people may not want to, being able to live where they are, employment rates going up and down and that sort of thing. Are the impact of tariffs the biggest challenge or biggest issue that you and other small businesses have faced?
I've been through a lot. So I've been at this business for 35 years. I've seen a lot. I've seen recessions. I've seen interest rate spikes and drops. Of course, we've been involved in COVID. I've never seen anything so significant and so profound as this trade war and what's happening around us. So COVID, to me, because of the support that we had, we were very grateful that somehow we pivoted and we learned. We made tens of thousands and thousands of masks for different customers, and we learned, and the government was there, and it was just a different attitude because we sort of knew what was happening, and everyone was working together. But right now, because you don't know what's happening next, this is by far, I would say, it's tough because we've done so well and things are going great, but it's a little unsettling that you're not in control of your destiny. You have other people, other administrations that are doing that. And even though our government is trying both provincially and federally to do something, they're also subject to whatever happens around them.
Yeah. Have you been speaking with other small business owners to figure out how they're kind of navigating this?
You know what? To be honest with you, we're such a unique business. I know we know some that are just deciding, well, we're not dealing with the U.S. right now. They're just parking it. So for us, because the problem for me is I manufacture a lot of my product. A lot of companies don't do that. They bring in product from other places, and so for me, they're not dealing with the mix of products. So I have to fight this on my own, and we're learning. And sometimes it's great, and sometimes I can tell you who's benefiting, and I'm not to say anything against the brokers, but the brokers are definitely benefiting because they're really finding that they're also holding the cards. It's the relationships that they have with Border Patrol, with U.S. Customs. You really need that, and you're really beholden to them. UPS has a brokerage department, FedEx, and many brokers throughout the country, but you need to find somebody that understands our business. So really, because we're unique, we don't really communicate or work with others because they're not us.
Are you hearing from American customers or other businesses down there to see what they're doing?
You know what? So we've dealt with some American customers. They again, they're somewhat, as long as they're not affected, they are, and some are feeling the effect. Of course, that's what's happening with their inflation. I mean, prices, producers can't sustain this tax, this tariff,
right,
and not pass on some on to the customers. But I think we're going to see in the latter half of, we're in the third quarter of 25, and now we're coming in fourth quarter of 25, we're coming into 26. We're going to see more of the effect, and I think, it's just hard to sustain this. I mean, it's also like a game of chicken. Who's ready to walk out? How long is it going to take for people to say I've had enough and to see the benefits, or the losses?
Yeah. Are you doing anything different, or doing more of something or less of something in regards to tariffs?
Definitely, we are always focused and grateful for our Canadian customers. I think for us, we were in St. John's with the Canada Summer Games. We were there in August, and we're very grateful. A lot of the customers, it's great. It's second only to the Olympics in terms of attendance, and we were so grateful that we won the contract. People love the Canadian made. So there, when we're at these events, we always promote our Canadian-made product. We have some key manufacturers I can't really name, but they're very big. They're very good, and they buy our product, and it's made in Canada. So for them, it makes their lives easier, too, for their local market. And it's on the custom side that we handle that.
Right.
So I'm looking for more Canadian-made. Well, I'm looking for more Canadian-based manufacturers and customers that want to see Canadian manufacturers keep it here.
There has been, for the last number of months, a buy Canadian kind of mantra. Are you feeling that from Canadian consumers?
I think I am. I because we're more OEM, like we're not really out there. I'm not really forward-facing, especially on the Niko side. But I think people... I don't want to say Canadians are that fickle. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to price sometimes.
Sure.
And I'm a manufacturer, and I've lost contracts based on cents. I think definitely it's more top of mind. And I have noticed, like I had a very, very successful bike shop in St. Catharines. He never reached out to me for almost 15 years, and he contacted me. He said, well, you know what? I know we talked years ago, but I really feel bad that I never reached out to you. Sit down with me. And he looked at our product, hadn't seen it. I want to buy Canadian made. So some of, because we're a manufacturer, we have that ability to keep the prices under control. But, I want to think, and I believe it definitely is more important, but there's always that side where, and that's really what the administration, what the Trump administration has gone for, saying, enough outside influence, enough outside benefit for other countries. We want to bring it here. That's exactly what's happened. And that's something that we should recognize as well, is that if you hollow out your manufacturing, which is the core of any great industrialized society, you really don't have all the benefits that come with it, the multiplier effect.
Yeah, you said you have absorbed some of the cost, or a lot of the cost. Is that going to continue? Is that the plan?
I think I'm hoping that eventually, we're going to strike a deal. I think, right now, again, we're very lucky with Kuzma because the product that I make in my plant in Hamilton and export falls under free trade. So I'm hoping... I think from our end, like I have our U.S. company as well, we're trying to figure out ways to mitigate this. It's always fast moving. This is the problem. I don't want to, because times are tough, it's hard to pass that on. It's a very competitive landscape right now. So I'm very lucky. We've done well. I'm trying to take a few of those body blows, some of those hits, but eventually I may have to do that. I may have to increase, and that's probably maybe 3-5%, but nothing like 20%. Right. I just don't believe the consumer will accept that.
Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government finally unveiled their first budget just a week or so ago. There wasn't a lot for small business. Was that disappointing?
You know what? I don't want to say it's. I think it's the lay of the land. I think we're projected to have a $78 billion deficit.
Yeah.
I think things have gotten worse, and it's hard to spend when you don't have that money and you're borrowing against that. I do believe though. And I am aware there are great programs out there for small business if you know where to go. And I've been very lucky with the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade and FedDev Canada. They are great partners. So if you're a business that's looking, like for me, I'm just a contrarian. Like I just seem to go in and bust my head against the wall. I remember buying equipment, especially in the mass making end or in printing or manufacturing. I've been very lucky. So I'm not saying I don't want to say it's just brashness. Sometimes it could be stupidity, but I think if you're smart and you find it and you get the help, there are programs, the regional targeted tariff initiative that's just enacted through Prime Minister Carney. It's a FedDev, it's a federal program, and then there's great provincial programs as well. So I think, again, the problem is great that you're talking about it, but actually sitting down and then looking at it and figuring it out. They're saying, you know what? I got too much. I can't do that. And that's the biggest problem, is that they're out there, but you need to take that time. And when you're dealing with so many issues, you're a human being. You get tired. You say, like, it's hard. It's a hard go. Yeah.
Another big measure has been interprovincial trade. A lot of the premiers and even the Prime Minister has discussed that. That could be the next big thing. Mm-hmm. Would that impact or affect a business like yours? You know what?
For our product, it's not really a protected product because, you know what? For whatever reason, I mean, apparel and it's not an area where any particular province, say for example, Quebec was once a great garment manufacturing center. It's not a concern. I think it's other areas such as
construction,
wine, those areas. So it doesn't affect us. The elimination of the trade barriers.
Right. In terms of provincial or even municipal help for small businesses, or is the province or municipalities doing enough?
You know what? I would say they want to do it, but you don't know until you get into the pit. We're in, when you're dealing with customers, it's great to have the support, like I said, from the ministry. I've had some great contacts. I think, again, it's hard for them as well. I think they're dealing with a lot. So I've not been one to sort of rely so much on them. I've learned that, if I can, it's a symbiotic relationship. If I can help them, they'll help me.
Right.
I employ people, we pay well, we export, and I'm grateful, but it's hard for them too because they're dealing with a lot. So I don't really look to them. I look to these programs. I've received lots and lots of help over the past decades. That's part of our luck, and maybe some of the schooling that I've had and the people that I've employed have allowed me to leverage some of that expertise. That's what you really need, not necessarily going to your member of parliament or. Right. Though I will say I'm very happy with the people. I applaud Premier Ford. Prime Minister Carney, and they're not out to. They want this to work. They do not want us to fail. It's not in their best interest. So we're all trying to do it.
In terms of a trade deal, it seems like we're at a stalemate between Canada and the U.S. Are you optimistic the talks A will restart and B will finally get a deal sooner rather than later?
In my opinion, I've never read The Art of the Deal by President Trump, Donald Trump, but I believe that in the end, this is all part of a tactic for 26. I believe a deal will come. I don't know what he wants. I think he might want our minerals. He might want our resources, which I don't love that. Yeah. I wish we weren't always just thinking that we were so great. The manufacturing is such an important part, and we can see in our city, in our province, how important it is. So I don't know what we're going to have to give up, but I think it's his tactic to basically make us hurt, give us some of those hits, and then when we're at our weakest, what he thinks, then maybe we're going to capitulate and give in. But I believe our team will do a good job. I think we're smart.
Yeah. What's next for you and your two companies when you're looking towards the future?
I'm looking for tariff-free products. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for de minimis to be enacted again. I'm looking for 26. I think I'm always, you know what? I mean, I think like everything in life, you just... Yeah, I think to the Mitchell Bowl, I want to worry about my son's game. I want Queens to win against the Huskies. That's all I care about. My wife cares about, and my kids. But I think it's important that you remain positive, that you don't, like for me, I look like I'm not stopping. I'm buying equipment. I'm investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in my equipment to ensure that I'm competitive. I think for me, there is, like I said, it's a bit of a waiting game in certain respects, and it's those that can hang on and keep what they have, because the field will be hollowed out to a degree. So those that are left standing, and there's not very many companies like ours in the country. So I'm hoping, and we've been very, I've been doing this for 30 years, 35 with Regatta. I intend, like I'm probably, I'm older than you. You look amazing. You look amazing. Did you run here? Did you run here?
No, I did not. I don't run at all.
Yeah. So anyways, I have a few more years left in me.
Let me ask you this, because a lot of the talk has been, okay, we're not going to be trading as much, or at least we don't think, with the U.S. Yeah. Let's think globally. Let's strike partnerships with, Asian countries or developers or European. Like, are you in that kind of mode to say what else? What is the customer base globally?
You know what? I like to think that there is. I mean, of course, I think I mentioned to you, we were in Germany this past July, and we partnered with a German company, and we did significant sales partnering, and we're selling over there. I believe the Europeans are also, they're a huge trading block unto themselves. Yeah. And as much as we want to think it's just easy to turn it on, it's not. For example, my daughter works for Amazon Business, and Amazon is obviously it's a great vehicle. We sell a lot just on our products with the Aegis side, with the neck guard and the wrist guards. So we want to move to Europe, and it is so difficult. So if you're doing well in the U.S., and again, the U.S. is difficult now because we used to ship fulfillment by Amazon, which is through their DCs, through their distribution centers. Now you're dealing with tariffs. You're dealing with all the paperwork. Again, you never had to worry about that. As long as you were under that $800, it was never an issue. And of course, it was tariff-free. So going to Europe, they're also very regulated. So it's just, I agree, and I think there is, and I applaud that. I just don't think for a small business, it's that easy. So we're trying. So for us, we're trying to expand to Europe. Yeah. A lot of our business on both the Regatta side, we sell to Japan, we sell to Australia, we sell to the UK. But I think, again, I'm hoping. I love the guys down south. They're right there. They're 50 miles. They're 50 kilometers away. We can watch a Bills game. Hopefully, they're going to win this weekend. Anyways, I think the point is it's just so much easier to trade with them than it is to then redirect all your efforts to somewhere else where, again, you could have barriers, especially if you're smaller like us.
Right. And I would assume it's more costly to trade with companies in the UK or in Europe or in Asia.
Well, let's talk about one word: freight.
Yeah.
Freight is so expensive right now. I mean, just to ship the product, you might think it's easy, but, right now freight costs are through the roof. Again, you're dealing with brokerage. So you have to add those costs in, then the time. So I'm not saying no, and we do sell, but I don't see it as the magic, the magic bullet for us.
Yeah. Joe, thanks for coming in and explaining how tariffs are impacting your business and others, how the business works, and some of the challenges that you've already overcome. Good luck in the future as well.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here, and go Queens Gales, okay? Go Gales.
Yes, we hear you.
All right.
That is a wrap for the Newsmakers podcast. A big thanks to the all-star cast behind the scenes as well. If you like today's episode, click the thumbs up, hit subscribe, leave a comment as well. Catch the Newsmakers podcast on chch.com/podcasts and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.